H2O, flowing out the faucet. Don't wanna think where we be if we lost it, cause you know that we need it every day. Wake up in the morning and rejuvenates. At night, you make me feel right.
And today our water throughout the world is contaminated with all kinds of chemicals, and it's getting worse. People are going to have to wake up to pretty quick to say, you know, we're running out of water.
The solutions for the future are going to depend on us becoming attuned to the natural world, and we shed our hubris and become integral with the larger ecological forces that sustain us. Our only hope for a transition to a stable future is one in which we embrace the best of indigenous wisdoms around the world with the legacy of modern biology and ecology, and the two together should provide the template for the human in the future.
So what was sewage yesterday is the water that you're seeing now. Here we're standing in the middle of the wastewater treatment system in a five-star resort. Wastewater comes in, taken up by the bacteria. Bacterial cells come into these tanks here. Living machine technologies are basically ecological wastewater treatment systems. You take wastewater, which is wastewater that's generally disposed of, treat it to high-quality reuse standards, and be able to reuse it. As a culture, kind of hitting limits, and we're hitting limits in two main ways. One of those is certainly energy. The other is water. And here, in very basic technologies are needed. People are dying for these things. They don't need to be as expensive as the technologies we've developed here to, save lives. So we built this living machine here to purify the water from my polluted well.
Cleaning up
the well.
Where is that?
You want to see the well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we lower a small bucket down and bring the water?
We are taking this old polluted well, and right now John is running a simple test using biological life forms to see what the water quality of the water actually is, what we're dealing with. So instead of expensive chemical tests, we're testing the water quality with life forms. And then we're going to create a living machine, a biological machine, to purify that water, to make it usable for me, for agriculture or for drinking, domestic needs, depending on how clean we can get the water. It's depending what the uses will be.
The first thing I think about is what kind of life that's sensitive would live in there, and go find it, put it in there, and see what happens.
Oh look, there's a little thing right there.
Test that we're going to devise using life forms today is that you could test how effective it is. For example, say we were able to find Daphne or a Bosnia or one of the zooplanktons in this lake today. We put them in there, and let's say we put them in this right now, and an hour later they're dead. And then you treat them, and they last. You do a 15-minute treatment and they last for 2 days, or you recirculate it twice and then they last forever. Then you know you've detoxified the water. This skinny plant in here, you see with the flower at the top? This is the bulrush. It has incredibly remarkable properties at purifying petroleum and carcinogenic compounds in water. This is one of the great plants, and it was first studied by a German woman, Käthe Seidel. She said, there must be genius in plants that I have to discover to heal the planet. She started out about 1948, and her work was never recognized by anybody, but she just decoded all this information on botanical plants. What you have here is a bulrush that has it's kind of a floating. If that was cut away and placed on the surface of a tank that you put the well water in, that probably has all the life on it attached to the roots needed to purify that. You'd have this living raft.
Right.
That's a really effective water treatment. That's a piece of gold right there. One cell eco machine, is it all set to put the life in?
Right now this is filling up with the well water to pump up to it, and this is that buoyant one that we found floating, and the wire comes through and it flows through this series of 55-gallon drums with aquatic plants, and it goes about 50 gallons per day we bring in, so every day it moves one tank, one tank, one tank. So after 4 days, we basically have water that's pure enough to use for irrigation.
To exist, man requires a continuous supply of water. Springs furnish an accessible, though limited source. Underground water may also be tapped by wells, such as this old dug well and sweep. The final step in water treatment involves adding chlorine. This completes the sterilization by destroying all harmful bacteria and other organisms.